Hey all, can you confirm anyone in the chat that I am audible and clear? You can use the chat window to confirm. Okay. I'm also just keeping you mute so that the noise won't be captured. Okay. You can just post the things, any questions or queries in the channel. You don't need to wait till the end of the class. You can just quickly post it in the channel whenever you have a doubt or whatever it may be. Okay. Thanks for confirming the things. Okay. Now let us first see what is the course is all about, right? And then how we are going to, how we have structured it and how we are going to take it forward and what are the opportunity that we have, right? And how things can be taken forward, right? So if you see, the course that we are covering is Power BI and PostgreSQL, right? And this is Hari, your trainer, Microsoft Power BI Analyst certified, right? Now I'm just going to show you 3 blocks here. So our entire 3 weeks course is divided into 3 parts: data warehousing, PostgreSQL, and Power BI, right? And this Power BI is going to be our major subject. Okay, our main target is getting a right level of knowledge on Power BI, right? At the same time, we are also going to learn about PostgreSQL. The main purpose of PostgreSQL is to have a sound knowledge on the structured query language SQL, which is kind of a universal language that is used by all the database systems, right? Along with this one, we are going to learn a detailed one class for the data warehousing, which is very important for a person who want to become excel in the Power BI, right? Now, what is the purpose of going all through this? Just I will show you in a simple diagram, data to insights journey, right? Now, if you see this particular end-to-end journey in the current IT world, right? We are having terming different namings like data engineers, data analysts, cyber security, right? Scrum masters or project managers. So there are different roles are there. Like in our house, we have the different roles each of us plays, right? Now, if you ask me which is the best, no doubt all are having their own positives. It's all about which particular technology is close to us, right? And what is our areas of interest, right? Many people comes, hey, do I going, I mean, can I land into a job into the Power BI when I take it? Yes. Answer is yes. If you are a person who has the interest on the business terminologies, analytical thinking, right? Those things. Someone would be like more interested on a kind of business minded. I mean, they regularly checks, okay, what is my profit, what is my loss, or how my expenses are going on at home, what is my income. These kind of things are very interested. Okay, that's a kind of a budgeting, analytical thinking, those things, right? And some people are more interested on user interface designing. I mean, uh, people who are more interested or artistic, right? Who likes to draw something, painting, pictures, they can be having good career on the user interface side. Similarly, some are interested on cyber security, right? So accordingly, what I say to all our students is first self-assess yourself, okay? And then you would be knowing, okay, what is my areas of interest? So people who are, I mean, interested in maths, like max kind of thing, analytics, can definitely Power BI is going to be best choice for you. Okay. Now, in the current industry, almost everything is digitalized, right? Whether you have taken a small business thing or a big organization, there is no kind of a manual entries, manual books, writing something on the book or paper, right? Everything is being captured digitally through their laptops, through a automated missions, right? Or through some kind of sensors. Now, Over a period of time, there is a large amount of data is being gathered, right? And those all things are being sit in the data factory where data engineers work tirelessly to organize them as per the data structures. What kind of data we are capturing? Is it a sales data? Is it a marketing data? Is it a finance data? Right? So they are organizing in the data factory. And we as a Power BI developers, right, going to visualize that thing in a nice, interesting and informative way, right? So what is the role of Power BI? Having a understanding about the data that is present in the data factory. When we say data factory, this can be a databases, cloud, files, anything, streaming systems, all those things, and then visualize that into the Power BI, right? So in this journey, Power BI role is going to come on the right side, who is closely sitting with the business. Okay, this is another good thing for a Power BI analyst, that we would be closely working with the business. That means we have a visibility to connect with the top management or the business leaders and all those them, and understand what they want the things, right? Now, how we are going to achieve this one? Let me show you another simple diagram that has different stages. Now, if you see here, there are different stages are there. Okay, someone who is already in the IT world and who is part of any one of these stages, definitely they can be part of some courses which they cover all end-to-end journeys. Okay, but whoever is new to IT or someone who want to switch towards the data side, okay, my strong suggestion is pick any one of the area that which you are comfortable, right? Like operational data, lots of data is being created through the sensors or through the laptops, tabs and everything that is stored in the database, right? And we have Azure data factories, which is provided by Microsoft, Google, right? AWS, these things are provided. And data engineers work on keep this data in the analytical form, right? And when you say what is the analytical form, when we are learning about the data warehousing class, definitely I'm going to tell you. But in a simple, the left side, right, this is going to be data stored in the operational data. That's a kind of a transactional form. Now when it comes to the middle, where analytical systems are there, data is stored in the analytical form. That means the summarized form. What is the total transactions per month, total transactions per week, what is total profit, total loss, this kind of thing. On top of it, we are going to do the data visualization, right? So our role comes with the data visualization. Now at the same time, as a part of our course, that we are going to have learn about some basic understanding about the databases. Okay, when I'm in an organization, right, as a Power BI analyst, I can't say that, okay, I don't know about the database. You tell me that I'm going to create the Power BI reports. That's not going to work. We should be having a sound understanding about our source systems, from where I am going to get data, whether the data is really organized well. If not, I can suggest them to correct, or our Power BI are also having some good features to clean up and transform the data, right? So we are going to be mainly learning about the data modeling and visualization, right? And there are different streams are there. If you see in this particular thing, data engineers, data factory, data science, Power BI. In terms of names, there are different things are there. And the objective of our course is be expert in Power BI, at the same time get the good level of understanding with the database and data warehousing. Okay, a clear statement what you are going to get from the course, right? Once we landed into job through a Power BI, then slowly we can also explore data engineering or data factory as and when for the career progression, right? So accordingly, we have structured our course as three parts, right? First, data warehousing and PostgreSQL we cover in the first week, right? These consists of data warehousing, one class, Postgres around 4 classes. Rest of the 10 classes we are going to cover Power BI. Each and every class is going to be 1 hour 15 minutes, Monday to Friday, and we are going to record these class, right? And that would be available for all the registered students in the YouTube so that you can watch them, practice them whenever you want those things, right? So any questions or queries till now with respect to what is our objective of the course, how it is structured, right? And what we are going to make it. Any questions or queries? Okay. Now, as I told you, right, we have structured this course as a part of three points. Now, we are going to cover like data warehousing concepts in the first class, right, where we are going to touch base the history of the data warehouse and what data warehouse data marts and what kind of how the data modeling is done, because this is very important. We should be having a solid understanding about the databases when we want to use that particular data on our Power BI reports. Even there is a semantic model would be created on our Power BI. Let me open the Power BI in parallel so that I can show you the things. And another good thing with Power BI is, right, since it's a Microsoft tool, the user interface, the look and feel, UI, all these things very close to the Microsoft Office, Excel, PowerPoint presentation, all those things. So you don't need, we don't feel really that we are working on a something a new or different tool, right? Now, if I come to the model view, you can see here the data model that we are going to create from the data that we extracted from different systems. Okay, and we are also going to touch base some AI visuals, artificial intelligence visuals, right? Because we are all talking about the machine learning, artificial intelligence tool, all those things. So what I tell to our students is that AI is not going to take the job, right? It is going to speed up our job. It helps us to complete our job faster, right? In the initial classes, right, we will learn each and everything from the basics and fundamentals, right? At the same time, we are going to see how we can achieve the particular thing through the AI related skills or tools and all those things. Okay. Now, once we are going over the course, right, the same time we are going to focus on the certification thing, right? So what is the certification we are going to target? Microsoft Certified Power BI Data Analyst Associate, right? So this is our target state, getting certification. Now, since we want to switch our career or we want to uh, start in the IT, right? We want to switch our career or technology, whatever it may be. So it's definitely whenever we are applying job, right? Whenever we are applying the jobs, definitely we need to have a certification. This really tells, I mean, it will increases the chances of uh, selecting our resume for the interviews or the next rounds, right? So that is the reason as and when we are going on training, right, we should be focusing on this certification also. And what is the role? Data analyst, and it's a intermediate level. Please just keep this one. We are not targeting a foundational or fundamental one, right? Our target is to complete the intermediate level of certification so that whenever we are applying for the jobs, right, it is easy for us to get an interview, right? And I'm going to closely work with you, right? And there are a detailed units are there, and 70% of these would be covered as a part of the course. At the same time, again, as a kind of a second time revision, right? I want you to complete these modules along into my guidance, right? And we are having a good number of practice assessments. Okay, so if I just open this one, right? These are like around 50 questions you will be having. And the good thing with this is that whatever you while practicing that you can just check the answers and then practice it. The more we practice, and it would be easier for us exam. Look, if you are continuously scoring above 70, that means yes, we are ready to give the exam also, right? You plan to get data from flat files for a Power BI semantic model. You need to select a location to store the files. Which locations requires an on-premise data gateway? Suppose if I select local online Teams OneDrive account, business. See, the shared folders on a local network will require a gateway as it is not available on the internet. SharePoint Online OneDrive business calls can be refreshed as a cloud data source. So whenever you are doing these practice exams, check the answers, right? And that will gives a clear detailed explanation. Further more details needed, we can go to the links provided, right? Subsequently, we are going to have the exam would be around 2 hours, right? Covering 45 to 40 questions would be objective type. Rest of the 10 or 5 would be based on the scenario based. They will give a scenario and they will give the multiple choice, right? And this is cost around $165. Okay, same thing can be registration can be done once we are ready. At this point of time you don't need to worry about this one, right? But as and when we are progressing on the course slowly, we can get yourself registered for the certification and get it also completed, right? So this is all about certification. Now coming to the openings, right? This is the one of the important thing, right? Every one of us switch the company, right? To understand, I mean, to know, I mean, what would be the opportunities, how fast I can get or crack into the job. First thing is, okay, is the really market is there or not, right? That is the first question comes. Does the certification expires? Thanks, Mono. Thanks for highlighting that question. How come I just missed this one? So if you see here, the renewal frequency is 12 months, right? So every 12 months that we need to take the reassessment, and the taking the reassessment is free of cost. Okay, they don't charge anything, but they put a reassessment just to want to make sure that whoever having this certification, yes, they know the topics very well. It's not like that, okay, we done the certification, we are going to carry it 5 years or 10 years. That every 12 months you need to renew with free of cost. Okay, there is no charges for the renewal. It's just they want to make sure, yes, we are having a right level of knowledge and understanding. Okay, now coming to the opening, suppose if I simply do a search for BI jobs in USA. Oh, wrong thing is selected. USA. I normally show the LinkedIn. Let us open LinkedIn. Power BI United States makes sense. Okay, we will just take the entry level associate, right? These are the two things. Just I want to be more balanced thing. Yeah, Power BI developer. Now, if you see here, almost we got 4,000 results across the USA, which I feel it's a good number with the current market conditions, right? And if you see design, develop and Power BI reports and dashboard, optimize Power BI data model, implement and manage security. These are all like some job summary. And for sure, right, we are going to cover whatever the mention these things. DAX, we are going to cover data modeling, extensive business analytical tools for developing. And if you see here, strong SQL query writing skills, preferably with SQL Server. So they are looking for people who are having SQL knowledge. Analytical thinking for converting data into relevant reports and graphs. So whenever you, whatever the job profile comes, two things would be by default: good communication skills and the analytical skills. These are the two things for sure that we need to have. Maintain up-to-date Power BI analyst certification. See, so it is very important that having certification really helps us, right? We are going to cover mQuery, DAX, all these things we are going to cover. Like if I show here, uh, DAX, let me open. So these are the rules, that DAX formulas that we created, right? And the mQuery language. And another important thing is, uh, there is a query comes from the students. Do I need to know the coding language, right? So my straightforward answer is no, you really don't need to have a coding language. I mean, basic experience or previous experience on coding. Okay, Power BI writes the mQuery language for us, and we should be understanding it. Okay, so that is what I would say. Whatever we do on this Power BI tool, right, everything is measured like drag and drop and with minimum basic lines of code that which we written here. And if you see, these are the formulas like you create in the Microsoft Excel. Okay, and suppose if I just select and right click on this one and go for the advanced editor. So this is the mQuery language, right? And to be honest, I or we didn't write in it. Power BI has write this code. We just done drag and drop. We trimmed the text, we changed the type, right? Suppose if you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines are there, right? I'm just canceling it. Say right click, transform data, trim. Like trim means removing the spaces. Okay. Once again, we did it. Let me see. Right click, advanced editor. See, in this particular line, the trim text, the geography is the previous one, and product trim. So additional one more line, code has written by it, right? So let me take another thing. Let me do one thing. Instead of trim text, let me change the data type. Shall we change the data type? Right click. Here is the data type looks like. Let me, here it is, 1, 2, 3. Click on it and decimal numbers. I'm just changing. 1, 2, 3 means whole numbers. Now it's an amount, so I'm changing it to the decimal numbers. See, there is one additional line item got added. Change it type, advanced editor. See, earlier the last line is trim.text, right? Now we got an one more line added, change it type, table dot transform column type, trimmed text. So trimmed text is the previous one, and here the amount. So the good thing with Power BI is we just need to do drag and drop, right click to this one, since we have the very powerful UI. And the backend DAX mQuery language or mQuery is written by Power BI itself. We just need to regularly open this and see, understand the things. And I'm going to tell you the best ways and easiest ways to learn this one. Right? Fine. Let me come back to the openings. And let us see a few more openings here, like data analyst, Power BI. Sometimes data analyst would be same kind of role. This roles not seems to be data warehousing related, Power BI related, BI and data analyst. Yeah. See, preference is for to be the hybrid role in Pittsburgh, but we are open fully remote candidates in Eastern or Central time zones. Design, build and maintain high performance Power BI dashboards delivering timely actionable insights. Performance advanced data cleansing, transformation and ETL automation using Power Query. Now when you say Power Query, right, this is the one we have seen. This is the Power Query editor. So the good thing with Power BI is, suppose if the data which we are going to work on, if it is not in the expected format, then Power Query helps us to do some cleanup and transformation also. So that means our Power BI visualization tool also giving some of the ETL features also, transformation features. Related tools to standardize disparate data sources, translate business objectives into clearly defined reliable KPIs and metrics, ensuring consistent interpretation across organization. So when you say business objects, right? Like what would be the business object? Yes, we want to achieve 100 million profit. And we as a Power BI analyst, we need to suppose to show, okay, currently what is the stage? What is our current profit? What to be done to reach out to the 100 million? Which particular areas are contributing? Which are not contributing? So these kind of visualization, KPIs and metrics we are going to learn. Conduct through data validations, QA testing. These are all the regular things, right? So opportunities wise, no doubt there are a good number of opportunities are there. Okay, it's just like we are gaining the right level of skill set and working on it. Okay, we hack trainers as a team, right, we are going to help you in the certification, right, and also resume preparation, right. Our last class is mainly focusing on certificate guidance, resume preparation, right, and I'm also going to give some good sample resumes where you can start drafting your resume and we can have a one-to-one connect session also, right. And our course is structured, let me show you. Yeah. So we are thinking to have it 16th February to 6th March. Okay, there would be slight changes in the dates, but I will going to update you. uh, 15 days, right, Monday to Friday. This pattern is not going to change and the timings would be same, and the course cost would be around 300 US dollars and equivalent 450, 250 or 450 pounds, right, in the Canada and euros, right. And if you see the course structure, right, first week we are going to cover data warehousing and mainly focusing on the PostgreSQL. Now when you say PostgreSQL, it's an open source database currently being widely used, right. When you say open source means it's a free of cost. Okay, normally if you take any Microsoft, Oracle, any other database, right, we will be getting a trial version, And if you really want to explore more things, definitely we need to pay for it, right? Whereas the PostgreSQL is completely free of cost. It's an open source thing, and we can use all the features to full extent. And it is almost one of the global leader in the database things, right? And our main objective with this is to gain good level of knowledge on the SQL, structured query language, which is a kind of a universal language for all the database to communicate. Okay. And from the second week, we are going to fully start with the Power BI concepts, like connecting with the different systems, getting the data, right? Starting visualization. And we are going to practice all these types of visuals like bars, columns, line charts, tabular charts, filters, right? And few additional advanced visuals also we are going to download them from the online and we are going to work on it. And finally, we are also touch basing with the AI tools. So we are going to have one full class, one or two classes, specifically learning about the artificial intelligence tools that are mainly used like key influencer, decomposition T, smart narrative, Q&A, all these things. So one classic example is if you see this is the smart narrative. Now what this does is it writes the story about our page. Okay, let me open this in the Power BI services. If you see here, just think of it currently how it works. So if you got some data, right, you would be putting that in Excel and you would be creating a nice one or two charts, right, within the Excel. And then what you do for each and every chart, you would be writing some one or two bullet points, right? Will you agree with me? That is what happens in the current in the manual, right? So let me get a new slide. Mm, right. If you see here, we create a bars and column chart and we will write some summary about the numbers, correct? Now Power BI has the artificial intelligence feature, right? Let me go to the portal itself. Huh. So here, this particular summary would also be automatically written based on the visuals that we are seeing, right? So we are going to achieve this state. Let's say bars had the highest total revenue, followed by bytes and others. So if you see this particular chart, see bars are having highest revenue among the three. New Zealand in category bars made up 9.01%. Okay, yes, New Zealand is on the top, right? So just think of it, say I'm having the business across 4 or 5 countries, right? Now I know if I scored about 44 million. So my first thing comes, okay, which country is on the top? Which country is on the low? Or which kind of products are being sold, right? See all these things. Now if I show you sales trend in the line chart, so it is just summarizing the things. So let us give a couple of more seconds. How different is Power BI from the AI? Okay, so Munon, AI is um, a artificial intelligence. Okay, AI is a concept. What I would say is right, and currently each and every technology is using this AI. Within the Power BI also, right? As I told you that we are having the AI in that one. If you see here, AI visuals. So if I simply help you to understand, let me select this one. Yeah. See, these are like regular visuals. Along with this one, we are having the artificial intelligence visual. Now, one of them is the narrative. Now, if you see what it says, add an auto-generated written summary of your data to this report. So that is what it is doing here. See, revenue trended up, resulting in 6.92 increase between January to December. January to December. So yes, we can see an uptrend. Now the question comes is, okay, how much percentage that I have upward? So that is going to give it 6.92%. Revenue started trending down on January 21, falling by 10% in 10 months. Now if you see here, this particular line, right, it clearly shows a downtrend. Now the immediate question comes for the business is, okay boss, how much percentage it is down? 10.21%. So how this summary or smart narrative achieved is through the AI feature, artificial intelligence. You know what it does? Power BI has given these components, and these components further drill down or analyze over the charts, data and everything, and they give a quickly written summary for us. Okay. Similarly, how many hours per day? So Pascal, daily we would be having 1 hour. It may go to 1 hour 15 minutes also. And normally what we do is we start the class 15 minutes earlier so that we can revise any doubts or queries from the previous class. So more or less you can consider daily you need to allocate 1.5 hours. Okay. So I'm going to take a pause here and let me open the questions for the questions. Can you confirm that you are able to see my laptop screen and I am audible? You can post it in the chat. Thank you, Bhavani. Now coming to the first class, right? What we are going to cover, like data warehousing concept. So I just want to understand what comes in your mind when you heard the word about data warehousing. What it comes in your mind when you heard about data warehousing, or when you heard the word about warehousing? Anyone? Just quick. Anyone? What comes in you when you say warehousing? Okay. Yes, right. So guys, we all know, right? I mean, warehouse means a place where we keep our goods, right? Whether it can be a finished goods or it can be a raw material. Either both the things happen, right? Suppose if you take any industry or factory, right? What they do is they get the raw material purchased, right? At the low cost, and they will store it. Okay. So this helps them in two ways. One is any service disruption that happens are not going to impact our production lines, first thing. And second thing is, suppose if you are getting something at the lower prices, so we can gain some profits by purchasing the things at the lower prices, right? Now similarly, we are also having a warehouse for the data. Now what is the main purpose of data warehousing? So first thing is, as we discussed it, right, the organizations are going digital. That means lot of data, whether it's a transactional data, observations, or business related activities, right? If a transaction is happened, nowadays every one of us do the transaction through a online or the UPI payment, right? So instead of just cash moving from one person to another person, the technology is coming in between and they are capturing that particular activity, right? So this would be used as a part of proof. Say if you paid some other person, right? Now the screenshot of the payment is the proof. Yes, we have paid the things. Now all these things are being captured in the operational systems, right? The systems, either it can be database, front-end UI, right? Which are going to support these day-to-day activities, business activities, right? Or operations. We call it as a operational systems, right? We also term it as online transactional systems. Now what these systems are going to do is they are going to capture all the day-to-day activities, right? Now over a period of time, these particular systems are grown to a wide extent, right? Where we are having some good amount of historical data, right? Previous day happened, on the things happened. No, at one point of time, some scientists and business teams decided, okay, since we are having huge amount of data, why don't we use to analyze the customer behavior, to analyze how the business is going on, right? So immediately some analyst has started working on and they started querying on these databases only, right? Like pulling the data for 1 month or 1 year, aggregating it and finding how the customer behavior, how many customers, how much profit is there. So at one point of time, what happened? The system is same, but one side the online transactional things are happening and on other side analytical things are happening. So this resulted in the performance issue of the operational systems, which means a person who is standing near the billing counter, right, is seeing the performance issues and he is not able to complete his payment, which means there is a customer impact, direct customer impact. So over a period of time, it is decided, okay, boss, let me do one thing. I'm not going to touch your online systems, right? At the end of the day, give me a copy of what has happened today. And I'm going to build another house, another database. And what I'm going to do is whatever the data that has changed today, whether the new records are added, new transactions are happened, or a customer came and said that, okay, boss, I have changed my address. Now please update my address in the bank records. And updates has came. Once the business hours are closed, give me a copy of it. I am going to keep the raw data as it is, which we also called as historical data. At the same time, I regularly get some questions. Every day or every week, my person comes and asks, hey, what is the total revenue last week? What is the total revenue for last month? Or I want to see the ruling profit or revenues for each and every month. So there are some common questions are coming. So every time I do the aggregation and give it to them, I will keep another database that is summarized data. Okay. Similarly, I'm going to store the metadata information also, right? This is very important, metadata information. Metadata means information about what you are storing. Okay. Suppose a business person, a CIO comes and says, hey, I want to know for that particular business lines, for the business in United States, what is the monthly profits or revenues I'm coming. Now, whether that particular thing is already available or not, how can I know? I'm going to refer the metadata. Okay. So a warehouse, it's again a database only. Just think of it. It's a database only, like how the online systems is going to have. But the information that is being stored here is in a different way. Okay. Here, if a customer comes and do a transaction, the entire information about that transaction, customer details, product details, total amount, everything is stored. Whereas in the warehouse, the aggregated data is stored in one part and the complete history is stored in another one, and the metadata is also stored. Now, whichever the reporting users or analytical or whoever want to do that, they will query on this one. Okay. So the entire picture is termed as warehouse, and instead of touching the entire thing, again we create a subset of warehouse for each and every specific business line or domain. Suppose sales team is really not interested on what is happening in the production or a manufacturing unit. All they need is, okay, how much inventory is available, right? Or in which area, what kind of products are being sold. So what the sales data mart will do is, it will take a subset of the information related to the sales and they create a small data mart, and analyzing, reporting and everything is done. Okay. So this particular warehouse, we term it as online analytical processing systems. In a short form, we also term is OLAP. Okay. This is termed as OLTP. I strongly believe whoever want to be expert in the data warehousing or analytics side, they should have a clear understanding about these things. And in the OLTP, how the tables are structured and data is stored in it. At the same time, in the OLAP, how the data is stored. So that we as a Power BI data analyst, we can know which tables we are supposed to use them. Okay. So is it clear what it mean by data warehousing? And the article that I'm going to share you are also going to help a lot. I'm going to share you a mail that is going to have, let me open the class 1 mail. Oh, I'm not getting the class 1 mail. Yeah. So if you see this one, and in terms of knowledge article or this, I have taken this from AWS. So if you see, a data warehouse is a central repository of information that can be analyzed to make informed decisions. Data flows into data warehouse from transactional system, relational database, and other sources. If you see this one, there would be wide range of source. It can be a files, it can be a transactional systems or something. Typically on regular business analysts, data engineers, data scientists, and decision makers access that through the BI tools, clients, and other analytical application. When you say BI tools, our Power BI is one of the BI tool, which is sitting on the right side. Either we can use a Power BI, Tableau, or some analytical tool provided from the database itself. Data and analytics have become indispensable to business to stay competitive. So if you want to be an analyst, yes, we should be having a good level of understanding on the data, no doubt about it. Business users rely on reports, dashboard, and analytical tools to extract the insights, right?
So what we are doing all these things to make the business decisions. When you say business decisions, what it would be? Do I need to start a new branch in the new city? And when you say new branch, what should be the size of that branch? It should be a remote one, or it should be a medium-sized branch or bigger one. How is going to be our market in the new country, right? Similarly, how our sales are trending, right? Is it downward? Is it upward? What to be done? So all these kind of business decisions would be taken by referring our reports. So that means our reports decides the business growth also. So they should be very accurate and clear and easy to understand, right? So I'm not going to read everything, but let me touch base with a couple of highlights here. A data warehouse architecture is made of three tiers. What are those things? The data that is accessed frequently stored in the databases. Sorry, not this one. The top tier is front-end clients that present results through the reporting analyst. The middle tier consists of analytic engine that is used to access and analyze the data. And the bottom tier is the architecture of the database servers. All right. If I show you that one here, like three tiers, the top first one, right, the analytical one, see. The top tier is the front-end client that presents results to reporting, analyst, and data mining. This is here. And we are going to be targeting to achieve this knowledge and skill set. The middle tier consists of analytic engine that is used to access and analyze the data. So this is the one, analytical data store processing. And finally, the bottom tier of the architecture is the database servers, where data is loaded and stored. So either it can be here, ingestion, or in the operational, mainly the ingestion. So correlate this image to the physical thing so that it would be easy for us to understand, right? And what it says, benefits of data warehousing: informed decision making, consolidated data from many sources, historical data analysis, data quality, consistency, and accuracy. And another key point, separation of analytical processing from transactional processing, which improves performance of both the systems. So this is one of the important thing. Everything can be done on the same system also. Suppose if it's just a small organization and if we really have that much processing capacity, but it says that separate both the things, keep it in a separate way, right? Similarly, we have like concept called data warehouse, databases, data lake house, right? I have some images rightly properly portrayed here. So if you see here, right, a database consists of tables. Like a house is having some rooms, and each room have its own purpose, right? Like a living room, kitchen, bedroom, same thing. We store the customer data, products data, sales data, all those things. And whatever we are storing the things in database, it is termed as a structured one. Why? Because we are storing them in a proper tables in a organized manner. Something you kept in a house, right? It would be in a organized and well defined, correct? So whatever we see in the database, we normally term it as a structured data. Now at the same time, we are going to use some Hadoop related systems, HDFS, where we can store structured and semi-structured. Now a database would be hosted. At the same time, there would be files having images or JSON files, CSV files, all those things. So wherever we have the semi-structured, that entire thing we call it as a lake house. Like database and lake house is going to have semi-structured. Now the latest technology where we are referring to the cloud, where we can store the unstructured data also. When you say unstructured, it can be a videos, images, tweets, and everything. If you see this simple table, I'm going to share it with you, but you can have a quick glimpse of it. Cloud technologies, Hadoop technology is also being used, but if you see that these are like structured, semi-structured, unstructured. Now unstructured means they don't have a specific thing. Suppose someone chatting on the Facebook, right? Or the tweets in the Twitter. They don't have a proper relation or anything. Someone initiates one chat window and people would be posting on it. Or the top many people put the emojis, images, and all those things. So we need to analyze all those things because every item is part of a response. Okay. Is it clear about the data warehousing concepts and data mart and data warehouse and OLTP and OLAP? Any questions till now? Okay. So now there are two great scientists are there. What are their names? Inmon and Ralph Kimball. W.H. Inmon and Ralph Kimball, right? So whenever you are studying a physics or science subject, right? We definitely learn about the Newton laws, irrespective of whether you use or not in your future, but definitely we learn it. In data warehousing, definitely we need to learn Inmon and Kimball theories, and definitely we are still using them, right? In physics, how we use the things, those Newton laws, right? Even what we can say is knowingly or unknowingly also we will use those Newton laws, right? Similarly, the Inmon and Kimball approaches, whether you are a data analyst, a data warehouse, data engineer, that we are going to follow them, right? Now let me show you what they have proposed in the form of images. Okay, so what Kimball has proposed is, if you see this diagram, right, on the left side you have different data sources. If I just correlate this one to the image which we are learning, one data source would be from the HR department. Okay, consider they have a SAP HR or something where they are capturing employees salaries, employee information, right, employees timings in and office, all those things. And there would be another database related to the sales team where they are doing some what kind of sales are happening, what is the customers, how much products are purchased, and another thing is files like that, right? Now what Kimball has proposed is, boss, create a simple data marts for each and every functional domain or department, if I say in a simple terms, and then integrate them to the warehouse. Okay, so what he says is that start with one department, understand how that department works, and slowly create a data mart. And again, I'm telling you, data mart is like a data warehouse only, just it's a subset of data warehouse, right? So for sales, create a data mart and integrate it with data warehouse so that the reporting can be done on that one. Once you are done with this one, now then go for the manufacturing department and start their data mart. Okay, in this way what Kimball has said, do your data marts like a iterative method, like in Scrum, whoever the Scrum managers, right? The first thing, suppose if you got a requirement that you need to build a data warehouse for organization, right, you are going to divide them into a business outcomes, right? Like what are all the business outcome? First business outcome is, right, creating a data mart for the HR department. Another business outcome is creating data mart for the finance department, like that. So that what happened, the IT team and the respective department SMEs can work together and deliver them, right? So benefit of Kimball is that it is iterative method, cost effective, and we can show the finished product for one department and slowly it can be used, and if there are any kind of issues it can be solved, right? So this is what Kimball has proposed. Now on the other way, what Inmon has suggested is, no boss, don't create multiple hops, right? So if you are start creating a separate data mart for each and every department, right? Every department should be having an employee table. Will you agree with me? So which means there would be multiple employee tables would be created within my organization for each and every department, right? But if I'm a CEO or CFO, what I think is that why the employee information is being stored in multiple areas? Can't it be kept at one table so that everyone can refer that table, right? So accordingly, what Inmon suggested is, now get all the source system data into a single data warehouse. If you have 10 or 20 systems or department working, and in future if a new department added, let us get them also into data warehouse and write their required business logics, clean up and build the data warehouse. And from here, whichever the department they are interested, right? A classic example is, suppose if an organization you have 100 employees, a sales department may really need information related to the 10 employees working for the sales department. So they can create a view. I'm going to tell you what view means, a kind of a logical copy from the actual table, and they can use it. Okay. So here the problem is, yes, whenever we want to integrate entire organization, right, then that means we need to get everyone onto the table and understand how each and every department are interrelated to other one, right? If an organization is working, definitely all those departments work hand in hand, right? That is the reason the organization is running. So technically we also need to put that on a paper or like a data model, like how we see here, a kind of a data model, how the tables are correlated here. And we can create a reporting on top of it, right? Now can you suggest what is your thought, which one you feel is the best one, Enmon or Kimball? What is your thought process? If I asked you, can you pick one particular approach, which one you will be picking? Bhavani, Chris, Chandra, Muno, Vinutna, right? So both these approach are success. That is the reason today we are learning both of them. Okay, like both are having their own advantages. So it's about organization deciding which is the best fit for them, right? And a comparative approach is provided here. If you see this one, like who has introduced it? Ralph Kimball, Bill Inmon. Approach, if you see the Kimball approach is bottom up approach. That means we start with each and every departments from the bottom and finally we will reach to the top. So that is the reason bottom up approach. Whereas Inmon is top down approach. Yeah, we start building a warehouse at the enterprise level, organization level, and then we will give a separate copies, top down approach. Data integration, it focus on individual business areas, right? So we would be start building a data mart for each and every business areas. Either it can be a HR, it can be a manufacturing, or it can be a sales. Whereas it focus at the enterprise wide. Build time, it is efficient and takes less time, obviously, right? Since we are doing an iterative method, it is going to take less time. It is complex and consumes a lot of time. It has iterative steps and cost effective. Initial cost is huge and the development cost is low, right? Initially for the planning, getting everyone on the same table, right? Time consuming, cost is required. But once we are finalized with the approach, then everything is like a mass production. Okay, now the framework is given. Now ask the developers to build the things. It does not need a such skill, but a generic team will do the job. It needs specialized skill to make work. Here maintenance is difficult, so here it is. The problem with the Kimball approach is, right, the maintenance is difficult because we are going to have multiple hops. The data, same kind of data would be stored at multiple places, which means it is going to create a multiple hops. Here maintenance is easy because we know centrally what kind of information we are storing and where we are storing, right? It prefers data to be denormalized model. It prefers data to be normalized model. Now, here it is very important to understand this terminology. What is denormalized and what is normalized, right? And trust me, the more clarity you have on this particular concept, normalization and denormalization will help you to quickly learn the things, right? So to explain this one, right, I have a sample data collected with me. Okay, so let me show you. So if you see this first table, the sales table, okay, now it's in a denormalized form. Now what it mean by? Now if you see, whenever we go to the shop and do a transaction, right? What the person asks, sir, can you give me your details, your name, address, phone number? We are going to write everything, our entire address, phone number, right? And at the same time, they are going to write about the product details. What is that product? What is its specification? And everything we would be getting a detailed bill, right? Now, in the denormalized form, right, the majority of information related to a particular transaction or activity is stored in the single table, right? Majority of the operation systems follow the denormalized form because think of it, you are having a millions of table, right? A customer comes and asks, hey, this is what I purchased, now I want some service on it, or I want to raise some request, or I want to raise a complaint. Then they should be quickly getting the details about that particular transaction, right? Say if I say this is my transaction ID, then I should be getting entire details. So that means an operational system should be built in a way that they are capable of retrieving small amount of data but within faster, in a milliseconds kind of thing, correct? So in that way, the data in a where the stored in a detailed form, we called it as a denormalized form. Okay, now what is the problem with the denormalized form? Now the problem is, if you see here, if a person, if you see Harish, he regularly visit that particular store and purchase items, so that means his data would be repeatedly captured. Similarly, if a laptop is there, the laptop information is repeatedly captured, so that means we are doing data redundancy. And we all know, right, the disk, the space required to store is going to be not free, it has its own cost. Now what we are doing, we are simply storing a duplicate data, redundant data. That means we are increasing the cost to the organization, right? So how this is achieved is, okay boss, in the operational table let it be like this, but in the analytical system I really don't need a detailed information, right? Because I am going to store something that is in the aggregated or summarized form. So then what they decided is, okay, I'm going to split. Instead of storing the data in a single table, I am going to store in different tables. So if I have a customer information, I will store the customer information in the customer table. Say if Harish is coming or Michael is coming, I will store his entire information in a customer table as one entry. Now whenever this particular customer comes, I am going to refer his unique ID instead of pulling his entire details or storing his entire details. Same thing for address also. I will store his address details in single entry, and whenever a transaction that I need to do a delivery for the address, then I'm going to store his unique ID. Now what is happening? You can see that straightforward benefit is our the data storage capacity requirements are almost exponentially reduced. So the data redundancy is exponentially reduced. That means we are effectively using our space. Will you agree with me? Similarly, a product information is stored in the products table. Okay. Now, these tables where we are storing a detailed information about the product, person or entity, we call it as a dimension tables. Like a table, we have the dimensions, a shape, we have the dimensions, right? Those are dimension tables. And the tables, those are going to use the information from the dimension and are used to capture the activities, transactions or observations are called as a fact table. Okay. So a normalization concept is going to use the fact and dimension tables to store the data, right? And if I show you in a pictorial representation, this one, let me get you the pictorial representation of this one. And again, for this one, we are going to take the information from the Power BI topic only, right? See here. And this particular relation is called a star schema is mature modeling approach widely adopted by relational data warehouse. It requires modeler to classify their model tables into dimensions or facts. And if you see this particular thing, right? Now when you compare with the example that we are discussing now, the sales table is going to sit at the center since it is going to store all the information related to the transactions, activities. It's like a fact. We are storing a fact, so it is called a fact. And to support this table, we are going to have the dimension tables like a product where I can have the detailed information about the product, employee. Since this is connected like a star, we call it as a star schema. See, normalization is the term used to describe data that's stored in a way that reduces the repetitiveness. Consider a table product that has unique key column like the product key and other columns describing that product characters like name, category, size and everything. If the same table considering the normalization when it stores only key, right? If you see only key is stored. But if you go to the denormalized form, along with the key, all the product, category, color, size, everything would be stored and it is going to repeat it, right? So the star schema is going to help to reduce the redundancy and work effectively. Okay. And if you see here, 1 to star, now here this star means many. Okay. in database terminology, whenever we are using this star symbol, asterisk symbol means it's a all. Okay, so that means in the dimension table you would be having only one record. Suppose if you have a customer table, you would be having a single record with a unique identifier. Now this customer can do multiple transactions or activities, right? So that means the same customer ID can be repeated in the fact table, right? See, a well-structured model design include tables that are either dimension table or fact tables. Okay, so is it clear with the concept of dimensions and fact tables? Now, the first, if there is only one level of relation, a fact table connected to the dimension, we call it as a star schema. Okay, but in some cases, right, the again dimension table would be referring the another dimension table. Where is that one? Here it is. Okay, so one classic example for this one is, say you are having the address table here, right? If you see here, now address table would be having name, address, and city and state. Now we all know, right? In a particular city, you are going to have thousands of customers. So that means instead of capturing city and state as two separate columns in the address table, right? I'm just going to capture city ID, and I would be having a city table where it is uniquely captured. So that means if a fact table requires the address, then it is going to take the unique ID from the address ID and it will pull all the details. And when come to the city and state, again this dimension table will take the unique ID from the city ID column and get the full details. So it's like child, parent, and grandparent. So whenever a dimension table further referring another dimension table to normalize our data further, then we call it as a snowflake schema, like category, subcategory, product, all those things. Okay, so within the normalization, right, we have two type of schemas: the star schema, just one level, and a snowflake schema where dimension table further refer another dimension. Fact table, product, subcategory, category. Okay, so coming back, see how things are related within the Inmon and Kimball. Like, okay, one decides that okay, I keep it in a normalized form. So that means the star schema, fact table, snowflake, all these things comes into the picture. Data store systems, the source systems are highly stable, right? Because each and every department is not going to repeat frequently add a new system, right? Whereas in Inmon, since we are having dealing with multiple departments, so definitely there would be a new department would be adding or suddenly some new system would be coming, right? So if I come back to our course, right, we have covered about the introduction and we have covered OLAP, OLTPs and what is the concepts there Inmon and Kimball has suggested, right? Accordingly, we have touch base with the snowflake and star schema, normalization and denormalization and dimensions and facts, right? So let me pause the class here.